Welcome to the Culture of Splife podcast. We'll get these guys rocking and rolling here shortly. I connected and didn't tell them I was going to, so let's see how long it takes for them to figure out that I'm live. It's my new practical joke that I'm playing on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. I'm just going to start going live without Josh and Rod, and we're going to see how long it takes for them to join us. If you're not following us on social media, definitely do so. We are at Culture of Splife everywhere. That's how you find our podcast. You can Google us. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere. Culture of Splife. That's S-P-L-I-F-E, because we are the intersection of sports and life. Today, we're going to be talking about some fun stuff that happened this week in the NFL, in NCAA action. We got Rod on. He's joining us.
Hey.
Was just letting everybody know it's a big practical joke that I'm playing on you guys. I'm just going to start going live at 8 o'clock and see how long it takes for y'all to join me.
So yeah, we just are fashionably late. You know, that's how we're gonna do it.
Actually, we got Josh texting me right now, like, when are you going live? And it's like, Josh, I'm live. Sorry, bud, can't text you. I'm live. Sorry. Doesn't work like that.
Craig, go.
You've been live for what? 27 seconds?
No, two solid minutes. Two solid minutes of live. This is going to be the what we're doing every Tuesday night. I was letting everybody know this is going to be our new podcast. Me waiting on you guys.
I see you representing there, Craig. Go.
You know,
in full effect. You ready to see what happens tonight, huh?
Well, I've already watched through the 5th inning, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Feeling pretty good?
Yep. Justin Steele finally decided to learn how to pitch again after a couple bad outings. Yep. So here we are. Struck out 6 batters in a row, doing pretty well.
Yep.
But to y'all's point yesterday, the Braves have literally nothing to play for.
No.
The magic number is 3 to have home field advantage throughout the World Series.
Yep.
Which I must have been under a rock. The All-Star game doesn't determine home field advantage anymore?
It doesn't anymore. Used to, though.
The first year, I guess. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought that was stupid anyway, but
changing baseball. I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree that it's stupid because it's trivial, but it also brings you a reason to watch the All-Star game, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is trivial. We don't really have a reason to watch it. Although we did. All 3 of us watched that mess.
Right. And I remember it was, probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, It ended in a tie. And I was like,
I remember that, yes.
They ran out of pitchers or something. I was like, shut up. They pitched 1 inning, maybe 5 pitches. Put them back in there. Who cares? This is not a real game. It's the All-Star game.
That's the thing about it, man. Like I've been telling you guys about watching Banana Ball. Like it's starting to break me. It makes me hate those little weird nuanced rules of baseball where it's like you've got to do this or at this inning, or they can't start the next day and crap like that. Like I hate the pitcher rules. I mean, you had one of their guys, Danny Hosley, play every single position on the field in an inning, like legitimately, and then he comes in at the and throws. I think he had like 2 pitches, threw 2 strikes, and struck the guy out. I don't even know. It may have just been 1 pitch, 1 strike, and the guy had a full count or something on him and struck him out. But he literally just bounced from every position in 1 game, and I'm like, see, that makes you want to watch, right? Makes you want to watch. MLB should be taking notes.
There you go.
I mean, and even just think about back in the day. I mean, you didn't have pitchers on the level of rest and pitch counts and load management that you had. I mean, and that's when everybody fell in love with the game.
Yeah, do you realize like how rare it is for somebody to have a complete game now?
Yep.
I mean, like if you're not pitching a no-hitter, you're not getting a complete game.
And
Like,
even if you have a no-hitter, you can be taken out. If you're a veteran or a rookie, you're gone.
That happened this season, right?
7 innings, no-hit ball. You're done.
It's like, that's so wild. I mean, you had like people out there like John Smoltz, who was throwing 250 pitches in a game and completed all 9 innings. Looked like he was
throwing 250, like 95 miles an hour.
Right. I mean, I would say the other Braves guy, Greg Maddux, but he completed games with like 72 pitches. And like phenomenal. Like, I don't even understand how it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, he could take 3 pitches for 1 inning. So
right.
So y'all, speaking about load management.
Yep.
How about this Josh Hader news? Wow. He makes $14,100,000 a year, and he's not going to pitch because they don't have a chance to make the playoffs.
You know, I have to put my hands on my face, but you know, as sad as this is, I'm totally not surprised. Because if you look right now at Little League, I mean, even going up the ranks to high school and everything else, what we have instilled in our athletes, this is exactly the product of that. Oh, well, I mean, this game doesn't really count, so I don't have to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I've seen Little League games now literally where if the team is like eliminated or they can't get first place, you literally have kids that will just no call and no show with their parents to games. And it carries over.
You know why? Because Fortnite is more important to them than playing baseball.
Correct.
What's weird to me is like this is easily solved, right? Because all you've got to do is understand one thing. You're not playing for you.
Nope.
If you're in the major leagues, you're not playing for you. I don't give a crap who you are. You're playing for money, and what makes money? Butts in seats. I mean, think about the Cubs. The Cubs historically, no offense, Josh, you were there. You saw what they did historically. We don't have to go into that, but they had butts in seats, right? Have always had butts in seats. No matter how good or bad they are, people show up. And you go to Wrigley Field, there's the history, there's, it's an immersion experience. So you have to play. If you're on the Cubs, you're going to have to play. I'm sorry. I don't care if we're last place in the division. You got to play because you're getting paid to put butts in seats. Could you imagine if Sammy Sosa or Ryan Sandberg wouldn't have played? Like, that would have been a travesty. The Cubs wouldn't be around anymore, you know?
I mean, and it's literally like they're okay with existing in a parallel universe. Like, take the job that we all used to have. So let's just say it's it's near the end of the month. There's no way in the world we're going to get our objective. What would have happened, Josh, if you told your director, you know what? There's no way in the world for me to make this objective. I'm not coming in the next 2 weeks.
Right. Oh my! I don't understand.
That would have been your last day.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
And it should be the same thing for him.
That's right. That's right. So speaking of not understanding, some different things happened in the world of sports and also in the world of pop culture / sports. So Rod, what did you find this weekend that you found very interesting or odd?
I mean, it was a swift sweep of craziness across the country, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, know, so everybody's got a Travis Kelce jersey now, don't they?
They do.
It went up 400%, right?
Absolutely. But tell me about Gardner Minshew.
Oh man! So that was my funniest moment of this weekend was Gardner Minshew dropping back the pass in the end zone, not pressured or anything. Steps on the back line, makes us think about somebody else by the name of Dan Orlovsky that decided to do the same thing many years ago. And Minshew, it was bad enough. But just the fact that we got a chance to relive highlights from when Orlovsky did it, just that made it worth it. Because he was literally he went through a whole sequence out of bounds. I mean, it was literally like everybody's looking around like, what is he doing? I'm coaching soccer right now, and we have to herd him in sometimes because it's like the out of bounds line was way over here. Like the ball's out of bounds. You are literally over into the stands right now, or you're by the folding chairs with parents and you're still trying to play. That was him.
It's pretty rare that you see that out of the professionals, though. But didn't Matthew Stafford do that one time too? I think. Was it him? It was.
I mean, Orlovsky's the Lion that did it when they
was
were.
It okay? Was it Orlovsky
scrambling out of bounds for like 5 seconds?
I'm thinking. You know who I'm thinking about? Actually, no, I'm thinking of Garoppolo's fantastic thing. That's what I'm thinking of. Where he stepped out of the back of the end zone and he threw the ball and it was intercepted and ran back for a pick six. Now the play was dead or whatever, but you managed to get a safety and an interception all on the same play. That's the one that I was thinking.
I mean, other teams like, can we just get 9 points?
Right. Just straight up, let's just call the game at this point. We're done.
So, Drew, what did you think was crazy this weekend?
Oh, God. We talked a lot about late hits. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? What about that roughing the passer call? Jared Goff, he's an amazing actor. You had that guy run around the bend and just up in Jared Goff, who was standing there. And then after he knocks him down over there, he just plows him over, keeps walking, high stepping, getting booed like crazy, because the Seahawks were the away team or whatever. He's getting booed thinking, oh, let me relish this. He's walking out there like Vince McMahon about to fire Stone Cold Steve Austin for the 4th time, and then turns around and there's handkerchiefs all over the place. You gotta be kidding me. Everybody that had a flag threw one. You just saw it coming into the picture. It was amazing.
Wow. Wow. So I'm going to kind of flip the script here a little bit, and mine isn't going to be as funny as y'all's. Mine is going to be more of the pop culture, sports. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know what I'm talking about, and that would be Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, right? Some of our listeners may be frustrated by what I'm about to say, but I don't really care because it needs to be said, because part of the problem and the things that went down on Sunday with this party is part of the problem that we have as a society. It's that entitlement, right? It's, I'm Travis Kelce, I'm Taylor Swift, so we're just going to show up anywhere we want to show up, and we're just going to shut the place down. Right? We're not going to call ahead, right, and set up a VIP event. No, we're just going to call over there and say, hey, we want to rent out the whole restaurant. So we need everybody out by 8 o'clock. So you have these people. In fact, one group was for a 22-year-old birthday. I don't know what's important about 22 years old, The year before, maybe, but the next one, not so much.
Maybe the second year of the drink, I don't know.
Exactly. But, they were having this nice dinner, nice party, and they were told they had to be out of there by 8 o'clock. So sure enough, the doggy bags all came out at 8 o'clock, and these folks had to get out. And I read one place that Travis Kelce paid for their meals, which I find extremely demeaning, right? Like, no, I just want to sit here and eat, right? I'm here with my family. We're enjoying this nice rooftop dinner experience.
It's an experience.
That's
There
right.
you go. You're there as an experience.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I don't need your $100, right? Like, let me just eat. So I heard either Kelce bought all their food, or two, they were sent to a sister bar and they got free drinks there. So I don't know if they got to take their styrofoam in there or if they had to leave that in the car to drink their beers in the bar. But the bottom line is, y'all, if that happens to me and I'm sitting there like mid fork in the mouth,
gonna do?
Oh man, people would know about this podcast, right? Because your boy would go viral. Everybody'd have their phones out. I'd be like, I'm not leaving. You can't tell me I have to go. I don't want him paying my bill. I'm paying my own bill and I'm gonna finish my meal. But no, you had these people that were like, oh, I thought it was so cool that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were coming to the restaurant I was in. What? Are you kidding me? Aren't these people just human beings? Who cares? Oh, man, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, I mean, this is also the reason why you feel like that you make $14,100,000 a year and you don't have to pitch a game if you don't feel like it.
That's exactly right. Wait, are we in a playoff race? Or are we in a? Oh no, we're not in a playoff race. No,
it's the same. You can just apply that across the board. That type of entitlement.
Look, I told you guys, and they're giving up too easy. I'd already figured up mathematically they haven't been eliminated yet. I mean, they might be after tonight, but technically they weren't even eliminated.
That's exactly
right. Yeah.
I mean, and he even said that. He even said, I know we're not eliminated, but it would be a miracle or something like that. I was just like, am I really reading this?
But that's that same entitlement mentality where it's like, I'm Travis Kelce and I'm Taylor Swift, and I don't think I want anybody here, so I could just pay them off and I can just get what I want.
Exactly. Like I told y'all last night, that Tom Glavine story. Tom Glavine goes to Cheesecake Factory in Atlanta. Table for 5. That'll be an hour, Tom Glavine, or Mr. Glavine. Do you know who I am? I mean, and that was in the 80s, right? But I think we're only getting worse. I think it's only getting worse and worse and worse. And now it flows to our children because they see how people are treated, and then they want to be treated a certain way by their parents because they can, and their parents have all the money, but they don't see that. They just think, well, Johnny's getting it, so why don't I?
I think we had a certain podcast when a certain referee talked to us about one of the biggest issues that he saw in the youth game is that it's always someone else's fault, that there's never any responsibility on that actual athlete. And so literally what I see right now is you see 35-year-old men who were 10-year-old boys that had parents that told them that it was never your fault. Any bad play was the referee or the coach's fault. You're not responsible for any of that. Right. If your team loses, it was the rest of the kids, or it was the coach that didn't do the playing time right, or it's just a whole bunch of horrible calls from the referee, or he just had it in for you, right?
That's right.
And that just carries over.
That's
and so you've got, like you even just said, a society now of young athletes who have no accountability, who assume no responsibility for anything. And so they just don't feel like they have to exist in the real world.
Right. I mean, where are the days of playing because you love the sport? I don't know if y'all know what a planner's ward is. Y'all know what a planner's ward is?
Yeah.
I had one of those removed from the bottom of my foot, and I kid you not, the gash in my foot was this thick. That was on Friday. On Saturday, I jammed it full of paper towels and a bandage, and I went and played basketball.
I remember that.
We lost by 65 points.
And you had blood going through your sock.
I had blood going through my sock like Kurt Schilling. Yeah. But I played because I love the game.
Yep.
I'll never forget. Y'all remember Brian Jordan, right?
Right.
Brian Jordan didn't like baseball. Brian Jordan liked football.
Yep.
He played football. He played baseball. He didn't play football very long.
Nope.
Why? Because he was better at baseball, and he would make a whole lot more money playing for the Atlanta Braves than for the Atlanta Falcons, being just an guy. But that's that mentality. Like, why do it if you don't love what you're doing? And that's the problem today. I remember I was assistant coaching because I told you I can't coach anymore because I'm too competitive and not patient enough. And so I haven't done that since my 11th grader was in 3rd grade. But I can remember being a first base coach and yelling into the dugout, you know, because our team was on that side. I was like, y'all ready to play some baseball? You know, right before the first pitch. I don't even think they responded.
No, they don't. I'm coaching soccer right now, and out of a team of like 8 girls, you might have 3 of them that, you know, like you would not think you were in a morgue if they were around. And it also goes into our society has taught everybody to be selfish all the way to the point that there's no sense of responsibility to like your team. Like my youngest daughter is frustrated right now because she just said like nobody is even enthusiastic about any of the goals that we score or anything that we're doing. Like there's just, I mean, there's no chatter. There's no like, because it's just like, I don't have to be here for you, and I don't feel like being here. I don't want to be here.
Right.
You know, or you know, even if I'm out here, I'm going to let you know with the expressions on my face, I don't feel like being here.
Right. And I wonder if this comes from everything having to be structured activity. You know, all of the parks being empty, all of the school fields being empty. And maybe it's because parents are pushing their kids to have some kind of physical activity. And so they really don't want to be there.
Right.
No.
So that's why they don't care, because I'm not a soccer player. You're making me go play soccer because you don't want me to sit and play video games or read books or whatever it is. You need me to have some kind of physical activity. And I don't just go outside and play like my parents
like we did. Everything was organic back in the day with us. We organically were outside hanging out with our friends till the street light came on, whether we were playing baseball with them, you know, football, basketball, even just throwing you know, the ball around, whatever.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's like, I remember one time I went out playing and my mom was like, look, don't get too dirty. Like that was like, you can go play with your friends, just don't get too dirty. Well, we're going out there, we're playing, we called it kick return. You know, that's all it was somebody threw the ball up and there was a returner down there, and the rest of us in the neighborhood just ran after that.
Killed him.
And it had rained like the week before, and, you know, we just took turns. However many of us there were, I felt like there was like 20 of us. There's probably like 6 or 7 in all seriousness, you know. And so like we just took turns getting tackled in this field, you know, like all dirty and everything. I came back home and my pants had started to dry. I was in jeans that day. My pants had started to dry and were stiff. Like it looked like I was walking with a limp because they wouldn't bend anymore. They were that muddy. And my mom was like, what happened and not getting too dirty? Turned the hose on me straight up. Like she literally just hosed me off before I went into the house. It was like, you'll learn your lesson, because it was a cold day. There was no need for all this, but hosed me off and everything. You know, made me throw my clothes into the mudroom before I went and showered. But you know, that was a regular day, right?
Mm-hmm.
She knew to tell me not to get too dirty, because we were going to do something. Ripping pants, you know, cutting up your thighs, sliding into home plate that wasn't even home plate. It was just a rock that, you know, y'all were using as home plate because y'all weren't even on a baseball field, just in somebody's backyard, you know, the closest thing you could find. Yeah, that's the way we did it. I mean, we probably all got concussions and stuff like that because of it. But...
Oh, I gave a lot of them in those. That was
right.
So I think there are a couple head coaches that may need to be hosed off when it's cold after some decisions that they made on Sunday. What do y'all think?
That's all I can say.
I don't know. Sunday,
You're down 8 points with 2 minutes to go. Actually, let me say with 3 minutes to go. And I think it was fourth and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And you're walking up and down the field. Obviously, I'm talking about the Steelers-Raiders game Sunday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Steelers couldn't get a first down. The Raiders were just doing whatever they wanted the last half of the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So they opted to kick a field goal, and probably one of the biggest guys on our team tries to put his hand down on the back of an offensive lineman and try to jump up to block the field goal. Like, maybe he got like this much higher than this high that he would have been already. And so they call leverage, right? I'm thinking that's going to be the worst thing that can happen to us. And it ended up being the best, because a minute and a half later, they kicked the field goal again and going for the touchdown. So Josh McDaniels, brother, oh my goodness. First off, I read the other day that both Belichick and McDaniels owe Tom Brady $1 million a year for making them. So Josh McDaniels, what have you done, man? Besides be awful in Denver, you went back, you had the cush job with the Patriots, and then you took the Raiders job, one of the most difficult jobs in the NFL. And you're making mistakes like that. We get one first down. We have a beautiful punt, goes right off the Raiders' face mask. They have to recover it. And old Jimmy G, out there with a concussion, throws an interception on the next play. Game over.
He threw what, 3 that game? Was it 2
That's
or 3?
right.
Yes.
Yep, 3. Yep. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yep. They'll learn to stop letting those guys throw balls with concussion. You don't throw it to the right player when you you do that. Get that tunnel vision, you can't see the whole field, and it doesn't work out very well for anybody.
Reading defense, typically the prerequisite for that is having full cognitive capacity.
Yeah, knowing what day of the week it is good. Year bonus points, you know?
No, Jimmy, you are not a 49er. You are no. They played on Thursday. You were there last year. You are a Raider now. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Right.
But there was probably one call that was worse in the old Vikings-Chargers game. That's all I can do. That's all I can do.
Moment of silence.
You know, this guy makes so many bad decisions. Last night in pregame, I literally thought that he was now the offensive coordinator. I know he's from a defensive coordinator role before he became head coach. And I thought Kellen Moore was the head coach. And so I said last night, that's why you got demoted for doing stupid stuff like that, not knowing that he was still the head coach of the Chargers. But, I mean, who am I to judge, right? You have an 89% chance to make a first down if you go for it on 4th and 2 from your own 30. You have an 89% chance to win versus if you punt, an 82% chance. My question to y'all is, does it matter that it's 4th down? Do they take that into account, or do they just take it in a down and 2 yards needed?
You have to take into account that it's
Yeah,
4th
you have
down.
to.
Always, right? I mean,
so 89% of the time you're going to get 4th and 2? Because that's how you win. You get in victory formation if you get the first down.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing on 4th and 2 you have an 89% chance of getting a first down.
well, that's one of those things though that the statistics lie to you.
Very slippery slope.
Because 4th down, like, okay, so take that guy from Presbyterian in the NCAA, right?
Yep.
Statistically speaking, you are better off not punting the ball because statistically speaking, if you go for it, you get it. But people don't go for it if they know they can't get it. You know, if it's 3rd and 10 and you get stuffed at 3rd and 10 and you've historically gotten stuffed at 3rd and 10, going for it at 4th and 10 is stupid. You just punt the ball. Right?
Yeah. You know, and then to your point, Josh, not all downs are created equal. And I don't think that it takes that into account enough. Like, you have a much better chance, in my opinion, of getting 2nd and 2 than you do like 4th and 2, because all of a sudden there's heightened concentration and urgency on that defensive end. They're playing you harder on 4th and 2 than they would be if it was 2nd and 2. You probably get it and it's over, because the mindset's totally different.
Right.
Well, and on top of that, again, the stats lie, because 4th and 2, you don't always go for it.
Yep. So
you have an out where you know on this short yardage situation, I don't need to go for it, you know. Because honestly, at 4th and 2, the only time that it makes sense, like the only thing that ever makes sense on 4th and 2, is to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your average yards per carry about anybody in the world getting 2 yards? If you're a running back, you're probably averaging at least 3 yards a carry if you're a running back in the NFL. I mean, again, so statistically speaking, yeah, I could see it being an 89% chance. Because if you've got somebody that averages 3 yards a carry, but, Rod, to your point, not every down is made equal. So just because the percentage says, yes, you should do that, doesn't mean you actually should do that.
2 yards in the NFL when the other team knows you're running the ball is hard.
It is. It is. But again, if you've got a running back who's averaging, if you got Derrick Henry back there averaging 7 yards a carry, 4th and 2 seems very minuscule. But to your point, you've got 11 dudes that are trying to tackle one guy, you know, and it's in the story at that point.
And where you are on the field, you know, what's going on. I mean, there's so many situations that come into play versus it just being an apples to apples comparison of, you know, 89%.
Well, and you look at things like you know, Pete Carroll's decision, right, to throw the ball with 2 yards when you got Marshawn Lynch as your running back. That's an obvious one, right? You run that twice, you get a yard each time, touchdown, whatever. You know, to us sitting here afterwards, if he makes the touchdown, we don't care, right? We don't make fun of him. If you make the first down on 4th and 2, we don't make fun of you. We don't care. You know, you took the odds, they were in your favor, whatever. But, you know, it's football. That's why you got to play the game.
I guess it goes into that old adage of the ends don't always justify the means.
That's right. That's exactly right. Hey, Larry, I saw you mention about the 8 points.
No.
You just missed that. We just talked about that. Obviously, that was my first story since I'm a big Steeler fan. So yeah, I was extremely happy when they decided to do that. And so now that Larry's on, y'all, Mr. Trivia himself, I'm ready for Uncle Joe's trivia.
Let's
Y'all
do
ready?
it.
I didn't want to do it before he got on, but now that he's here, we're ready. You ready, Larry? So Ronald Acuna just became the first 40-60-er. Is that what we've determined?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as that, really. I guess now there is, maybe, I don't know. But the big thing was always 30-30. And then there was 40-40, okay? So I guess that's the way things still are. So Ronald Acuna became the 5th guy to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 stolen bases. Can you name the other 4 players to do that in Major League Baseball history?
That's a good one.
Ooh, Larry.
It's hard.
Don't be Googling, Larry. I can hear those buttons being pressed. Don't do it.
Try to Google it. Figure it out here.
Yeah, make sure you mute
I
before you
trust Larry
before you
to at least get a handful of them.
That's right.
Oh,
Oh, Larry. Okay, should I hit Larry with the NBA then? Should I hit him with an NBA, Larry? You want an NBA? We'll hit you with the big NBA real fast.
all right.
All right, Larry. Who holds the record for the most assists in a single NBA game?
Most assists.
Most assists. Are we
assists.
recycling trivia, Josh? Have we done that one?
We have done that one.
All right.
We have done that one. And it was big. It got a lot of comments. It got a lot of views back when Facebook liked us and our reels. Yeah. Absolutely.
I haven't checked the one today. I posted a trivia question today. It was a life trivia question though. It wasn't about sport. Well, it was about sports, but the one I posted today was out of the most viewed TV shows of all time, the Super Bowl out of the top 30 holds 29 of those slots.
Wow.
Various Super Bowls throughout the years, right?
Wow.
What was not a Super Bowl out of the 30?
Out of the 30, and what's the most viewed? Say the question again.
Okay,
The
so
last episode of Friends.
it wasn't the last episode of Friends. You're on the right page, though. It was the last episode of something. No, it wasn't.
No, it was the last episode of MASH.
Yes.
Wow.
You got it. There were a lot of people that knew that. I never in a million years would have guessed it. I read it today and I was like, that's a trivia question right there for us. Because, like, the Super Bowl's up there, right? In living color.
That was such a great show. You know, like my fantasy football teams, I always name them after like an in living color character. Like, remember like Oswald Bates, who used to always use the big words, you know, if you can ramicate, you know, like, so last year my team was Oswald Bates University. So this year, you know, Grandpa Jack, when, Jim Carrey is a drunk. So my team this year is Grandpa Jack's AA squad, you know, for Alcoholics Anonymous. Just to play on that. Most people are like, All-American squad? No.
Got to get a Fire Marshal Bill reference.
Yeah.
I thought about the I'm gonna have to do him one of these years.
No doubt. All right, Larry. So the year was 1990.
Okay.
1990. All right. So we'll let everybody think about that for a minute. So what do y'all think is going to happen this weekend? We got some pretty good football games. We got some baseball pennant races, not really pennant races, more wild card races. Cubs being the biggest, probably. The Diamondbacks were actually losing 4-3 to the White Sox. Shout out to Tim Anderson for deciding to play
Yeah.
Josh Hader. Eloy Jimenez for getting 4 RBIs in 2 innings for playing when it didn't matter. But you got the old Colorado Buffaloes against USC Trojans.
Yeah.
Anybody interested in that game?
Oh, that one's going to be ugly too.
Let's go ahead and just put that on ESPN 8 and not even worry about it. We'll tune into the score.
Yeah.
Because if you put it on main ESPN, we're switching the coverage, I'm saying, by halftime to a better game.
You remember back in the day, we used to always do that, like switching the coverage once the game got out of hand. But I think their best receiver is like hurt now too, like outside of Hunter, like Weaver, the other guy. So they're mashing it.
I made a mistake just now and looked at my sports app, and of course I have baseball up. So I see both the Cubs score and the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks are now up 11-4. So much for that. But did y'all happen to see the hype tape that Oregon put out?
Yes.
That had all this behind the scenes footage. The Jazz have never won a championship, Larry. Nope. Karl Malone and John Stockton and Brian Russell and Jeff Hornacek never got it done. Nope. I mean, these guys, it very much reminded me of, interestingly enough, when I went to the Auburn-Oregon National Championship. And these Oregon fans were talking so much trash.
Yeah.
War duck this. Just stupid stuff. Like it made no sense. Making fun of accents, all this. And I remember walking into the stadium and first off, seeing it was like 70% Auburn fans.
Yes.
I was on the wrong side, I guess, with all the Oregon fans since actually tailgated with Oregon fans that are really cool that I'm still friends with to this day. Actually was texting with them in the Colorado game. But I got out there, and it was completely different. The Auburn players were like twice as big and strong as the Oregon players. I remember Nick Fairley pulling LaMichael James by his collar and setting him down for like a loss of 5 yards. And this guy was dominating. And, I called it. I didn't know that they were going to lose by 3 touchdowns, but I knew that the Cinderella slipper was going to come to a crashing halt. But to hear all the things that they were saying, we're going to murder ducks and
the pregame, it was pretty bad.
On the other side of that, Coach Lanning, wow. What'd you think about that, Drew? Did you hear what he said to the players before the game?
Okay, so I've seen so much of it. Was it they're here for views and we're here, or they're here for clicks and we're here for wins or whatever. I wasn't sure if that was halftime or before the game, but we knew Oregon's going to be the better team, right, going into it. Part of us had that little inkling of doubt, like, what's going to happen, right? Like you never know, right? That's when we play the game. But
we literally all picked Oregon to cover the 21 points.
Right. But like I said, there's that small shadow of doubt where you're like, okay, yeah, this could happen. It could go either way, right? We're going to play the game and we're going to see. But every team's got to be humble. Yeah. You can't go through there and play a game and not lose. You got to have that. They're going to get 2 weeks worth of it because I think USC is probably better than Oregon. Surely USC pulls some punches, right? You can't score 90 points. You can, but why? So it's gonna be rough. But that's okay. Get out of the national spotlight, and then rebuild yourself to be in the national spotlight again, right? It's just 2 losses. Take them with pride.
You know, it reminds me of, remember the movie The Great White Hype? Remember that movie with Damon Wayans and they built up the Irish fighter and you know, it was just like, oh, he's gonna have a chance, and everybody's like, you know, all in on him, and then sure enough, like, he's knocked out right away.
Right. Exactly.
And he was like, it's time to go home now.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's kind of the way it is with Colorado right now.
Oh, yeah.
After this week, it's time to go home now, just like you said, Drew.
Yeah, and Larry made a good point, right? This is year one. We're not on here clowning Coach Freeze, right? It's year one. We weren't expecting anything out of Auburn. But when you come out of the gates like Colorado did and destroy TCU when you're a 3-touchdown underdog, and then come back down 11 with 4 minutes to go and have a 98-yard drive to take it into overtime, you know, you're just different. And Deion
destroyed Nebraska too. And he destroyed Nebraska too.
Destroyed Nebraska at Nebraska. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, he did say in his post game, he said, you know, go ahead and get me this year because this is the worst we'll ever be.
That's right.
That's what Prime said in the post game interview.
If
you're going to get me, you better get me this year because this is the worst we'll ever be.
That's exactly right. And I mean, I listened to what he said after the game. Like, I mean, Deion Sanders, I love his attitude. You know, I love everything about him before the game. I love him during the game. As Shaquille O'Neal said today, or a couple days ago, I saw it. He said, Deion Sanders reminded me of Phil Jackson. He said, we could be down 15, and they were, right, with 5 minutes to go in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, and I could look at Phil Jackson, and he'd look like we were up 20. And that's exactly what Deion Sanders looked like during the game when they were getting absolutely destroyed. And then after the game, he was so humble. He talked about how they lost every facet of the game, defense, offense, special teams. Bo Nix played an unbelievable game. I mean, he gave credit where credit was due. And there needs to be more of that.
I want to give even Lanning a lot of respect too. Like he talked about like the clickbait and everything else, but if you actually listen to his interview afterwards, Lanning said Deion Sanders has flat out changing the game of college football for the better for all of us. And he literally said that what he's doing is revolutionary. So he's like, it was nothing personal against what he's been doing or anything else. He said, I just wanted to win the game. He even just said, if my 10-year-old is on the other side, I'm looking to beat the brakes off of him.
Right.
You know, so like to your point, Josh, like everybody is looking at, even the other coaches are looking at, and they respect and they love what it, because they understand the impact that he's having.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny how we talked about, you know, last week how I talked about this is Tiger Woods to the PGA Tour, right? You have a lot of people that don't know anything about college football, and they're just jumping in. Case in point, I'm leaving 5 Acre Field last week, and this family's walking, and I overhear one of the kids say, who does Colorado play? And the game was already going on at this point. And the mom said, Oregon. And the kid said, oh, easy win. And I'm like, wait, do you know who Oregon is? So that was one of your new PGA Tour fans catching on at the 97 Masters, you know?
Oh, that's the question of the hour right now. Who's the coolest coach now, Deion or Mike McDaniel?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Very good.
So, wow. So Deion to me is the epitome of cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't get cooler than him. Like that dude can be wearing sweatpants and like a sweatshirt and look nicer than I do in a 3-piece suit or a tuxedo, right? Like that's just Deion.
Yeah.
But then you've got Mike McDaniel who you know, like myself, represents the nerdier side of football, right? And he cracks the dad jokes, and he's having fun. He's that guy that never should have been there, right? Never should have been there, and he's there, and so it's that guy all of us can relate to, right? So, I mean, the coolest guy's definitely Dion because he's the king. I mean, his name's Dion, right? Like, and he changed his name to Dion.
Dion, yep.
Like, it was already Dion, and he changed it to a
That's
cooler version of Dion.
That's right.
I'm not Neon Dion.
Right.
Yeah. Must be the money.
Prime Time.
That's right.
That's what I am. But you got Mike McDaniel, who's going to go up into the stands and let the fans call the plays, right? Have y'all seen that meme this week?
Yes.
Obviously, he didn't actually do that, but oh man, that beat down the state of Colorado this week. Man, I have never seen so many points put up against one single state.
Yeah, I mean, that's an 86-point margin in less than 24 hours.
Right.
For your pro and college team getting beat by.
I wish Nathaniel Hackett had tweeted something about his buddy Sean Payton, but he took the high road. Did y'all hear that Sean Payton said Nathaniel Hackett's like the worst coach ever? He did a horrible job, blah, 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 blah. And now here they are, 0-3.
Right.
And just lost by 50 points.
I think Drew, you were talking about it yesterday, but the Dolphins almost eclipsed Russell Wilson's bathrooms in that one game.
Right, absolutely. 10 touchdowns versus 12 bathrooms. So yeah, I mean, pretty close. That game was ridiculous, though. Oh my gosh, like how, I mean. And it wasn't even like you just do all the right things and stuff happens, right? That's just what it is. And I love I don't know, I love the hype that the Broncos were getting this season to be 0-3 right now. That's what's crazy and wild to me is these teams that will come out and they're winning a Super Bowl. This is their year, and you have zero merit. There is no reason to think that they would have. Like, oh, you got a new coach. Great. That means you're starting over.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're winning Super Bowls this year. You're not winning your division. You're not winning the wild card. You're not winning anything.
Right.
So I don't know what the expectation there was for these fans, but I think they are probably quiet from then on.
I mean that was like an FCS beatdown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's almost like, how much did the Dolphins pay you to show up to play to get beat that bad? You know what I'm saying? If you had, say, like, Alabama State played Alabama, and Bryant Denny, we probably just, cut you like a $750,000 check, right, to play. And we probably win the game like, 63-0 or 3 or whatever. But you're happy because you got the check cut. So that's my question is, how much did the Broncos get paid?
Sadly, they're getting relegated down to the XFL now after that loss. We'll see the St. Louis, whatever they are, St. Louis
Battlehawks.
Battlehawks. Thank you.
Yep. Only reason I know that is because Rod's old quarterback just got promoted to the Bengals again. Oh man, what's his name? Married to the Auburn girl. McCarron, AJ McCarron.
AJ McCarron.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So is it safe to say that sometimes a name doesn't matter? Case in point, like I remember drafting Marshall Faulk one year.
Yeah.
Like a year too late.
Yep.
When Marshall Faulk was kind of washed up.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that coaches get washed up? Bill Parcells, John Gruden, Sean Payton, you're gone a couple of years, and the game kind of passes you. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I agree.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
No, that was Brady leaving. Brady passing.
That I think it's the case though. I've referenced this comment before. Chael Sonnen, who was an MMA fighter, in the UFC and Bellator and some other lower promotions. He said one time that fighters don't get too old. Fighters just start to suck. And coaches are the same way. And I never had that epiphany until Ed Orgeron got fired from LSU. And, you guys probably have seen the clip of him like, making the joke about the money that they're about to pay him or whatever. And he said in that interview, he said, every coach has got a time limit. Some coaches got 2 years, some coaches got 5 years, some 10, some 20. We don't know. We don't know what we got. And he's like, that's when they call me into the office and, tell me, hey, you got 17 million left on your contract. We're gonna pay you that 17 million, but you're not gonna be here next year. And he said, all right, what door do you want me to leave and when do you want me to leave? Right. Like, I mean, I think he's spot on. I think there's a point where you just start to suck.
Yep.
And,
just remember, Father Time is undefeated. And we're starting to see that with some legendary coaches right now.
I mean, remember LaDainian Tomlinson when he went from the Chargers to the Jets?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you don't remember him after that. Nope. It was, man, you hit that 3-0 as a running back, and that's it. Crazy. Yes. It is crazy. All right, well, let's do a quick wrap up through the college football. We never got to that. We got stuck on Colorado.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got Utah, Oregon State, 10-19.
That'll be a good one. Although I see Utah winning that.
Yeah, I picked Wazoo last week.
I did pick Wazoo as well. I 7 games point spread, right? With all the ranked games and everything, I went 6-1.
Wow.
Against the spread. So if I had put some money in Vegas on a 17 parlay or at least a 16 parlay, that would have been nice.
Yep, no doubt. I got a big one for you. Georgia versus Auburn. Hey, that's going to be
Georgia
a close
wins,
one.
but they don't cover.
I don't believe it. That's what Katie was trying to tell me. She's like, we always play well against Georgia. I'm like,
no,
we'll see how this changes. But
what the year before?
Oh, not in Athens. We don't play well. I think the last time we played well in Athens was when Devin Aromashodu caught a pass over the middle on 4th and 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the last time we won there. I think that was like 2002-ish.
Yeah.
We haven't won in Athens since. But
oh, yeah, we've won in Athens since 2000. Oh, maybe that was the 2002 game.
Yep.
Because I was there.
Were you? I may be off on the year, but it was Devin Aromashodu across the middle. 4th and 10.
The one I was there, I thought was 2004, but it may have been 2002.
Maybe it was 4. It was either 2 or 4.
It was the one where there was the blown call at the end of the game, and I was in the stadium and couldn't see it. And Georgia was mad about the call at the end of the game. Again, I don't remember the details. That's been 20 freaking years ago, right? And I had to leave in front of all those Georgia fans. I will never go back to Athens again. I promise you, ever. Worst fan base in the world, hands down.
I think it's going to be a low score and affair. Georgia will probably win by like 10. I don't think they'll win by 14.
I think it's a trap game. I've been calling it all season. Trap game.
Hopefully it goes better than it did against Alabama a few years ago. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That
was beautiful. Yeah, the 2008 blackout.
Yeah, we've never lost a blackout game.
And halftime, you're staring at a 31-0 deficit.
Blackout that scoreboard so y'all don't remember that score.
Yeah.
That's right. No doubt. So this game intrigues me from a spread standpoint. Kansas at Texas. Minus 16.5.
16.5.
Yeah.
That's going to be a close game.
The Kansas quarterback is special.
Yeah, Jalen Daniels.
Yep.
I could see an upset there. I don't think it'll happen, but I could see an upset.
I think Texas will win by a couple of scores. It won't be 16.5, simply because Kansas scores so much. I mean, it can easily be one of those things where you win the game 42-28, that type of deal or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, a team that scores a bunch of points is hard to beat them by 17.
I got two more for you. Notre Dame at Duke. Notre Dame minus 5.5. I like Duke. I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Notre Dame in the points in that one.
Are you really?
Yeah, I think coming off of that loss to Ohio State,
That was
because it's one of those things where Duke kind of has to sneak up on you a little bit still, and there's no sneaking up after losing the game. That caught Notre Dame's attention. Now, if Notre Dame had beat Ohio State, I think Duke would have had a better chance.
Or it broke their will to play football, and Duke will pull it out. That's what I'm thinking.
Now, if Notre Dame decides to only put 10 players on defense, we can have a different conversation for this game.
They did it twice, so, I mean, if they do it like 80 times.
Wow. I watched the whole game, but I was watching on DVR, so I don't catch those details.
Yeah, the last two plays of the game, and the one where Ohio State got the 1 yard with no time left, Notre Dame only had 10 players on the field.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I know
chances there won't be an SEC team in the playoffs this year. 0.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, unless you get a 2-loss team from the West that upsets Georgia, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There'll be an SEC team. There'll be one.
Yep. And I know y'all like this last game, South Carolina at Tennessee. Tennessee minus 12.5.
I've got South Carolina winning.
That Leggett kid is a stud.
South Carolina, look at what they did last year. They beat Tennessee last year, and then they beat Clemson, in Clemson. This team is built to have that one game where they beat somebody that's a prohibitive favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it. I hope you're right.
That'll be interesting. All right. Any NFL games that y'all are excited about before we sign off, before we give the answer to the trivia question?
And don't we have like 2 0-3 teams playing each other, 2 sets of games for that this week?
Broncos and Bears at Chicago. The Broncos, who just got 70 dropped on them, are favored by 3.5.
Yep. So we got that one. And then the Panthers are playing. Who's the other 0-3 team? There you go.
Yeah.
That is a mind-numbing experience right there. Both of those games. Good Lord. I have to think the Bears haven't had 70 points scored on them, so they got to win that game, right?
Justin Fields.
Have the Bears even scored half of 70 in these 3 games combined? Like 30.
They've scored 47.
Oh wow.
So just over.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Larry. The answer to the trivia question of who holds the record for the most assists in a single game in NBA history is none other than Michigan State's only Scott Skiles.
That's right.
Scott Skiles had 30 assists in a single game against the Denver Nuggets on December 30th, 1990.
Yep.
I feel like you're just the coach with the ball at that point.
Seriously.
You're just directing traffic, all right, it's your turn now. All right. Go ahead.
Which is crazy because that was our second year in the NBA.
Yep.
Like that's impressive that we were able to score that many points.
Oh yeah.
Now who knows? Those may have been the only field goals and the only points scored in the game. We may have also tied the record for the least points in a game for all I know. But we at least got 60.
Lost the game 100 to what would that be, like 60?
Yeah.
For some historical reference, that season was the same season that Jordan got his first title. That's crazy.
That's it. 1991. That's right. Why'd I come up with Stockton? Because he's the best point guard in NBA history.
I think
that was a pretty good guess.
And he practically
if I'm not
almost averaged 20 assists a game.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, that's who I actually said. Whenever you asked me and Rod the question, I said Stockton too.
Yeah.
Was my first guess.
A whole lot of pick and rolls.
Right.
Yep.
All right, fellas. 906.
Yes, sir.
You got to give us the other answer. The 4 players?
Oh, yeah. I didn't do that. All right. So the 5 players that have joined the 40-40 club, Ronald Acuna being the latest. That's number 5. And then you had Alfonso Soriano in 06.
That was one of my...
A-Rod in 98. Barry Bonds in 96. And the inaugural 40-40 winner, none other than the Bash brother himself, Jose Canseco.
That's the one that trips everybody up.
Yep. And that's the one that I remember just like that, because I had his rookie card. Man, I thought I was going to the moon with that thing. I paid $110 for it. A year later, it was worth $40. Yep.
You still got it?
I do. Yep. It may be at my mother-in-law's in the attic at 300 degrees, but I
give that.
It's probably worth 25 cents at this point.
I don't know, man. You'd be surprised. We might get you 2 quarters instead of just 1.
We'll see. What the problem is, they came up with this rating scale, and we didn't know anything about rating when we were collecting in the 90s, so it has to be a Gem Mint 10. Some nonsense.
Gem Mint 10, that's right.
Yeah. Mine was in a clear plastic thing, had some corners cut up, whatever. Maybe I had it in my bicycle spoke. I don't know. It got used. No, but seriously, even the ones that I have like under glass, I'd have to send them somewhere. They'd probably get lost in the mail.
Yeah.
Put all kind of insurance on them, and then they come back as a 6 or something. So
right.
So yes, all right, fellas. Well, enjoyed it immensely. Larry, thanks for coming out again today.
As always.
Engaging as always. We'll be here again next Tuesday. We may have a guest next Tuesday, so look out for that. And until then, find us everywhere you're on social media. And whether we have a guest or not, we'll be here. We'll have something compelling for you. And until then, have a great week.